Hi everyone, welcome. In today's short video, I'd like to show you how to debug your R code using two powerful native tools, which are the function browser and debugonce. As programmers, we often work with more or less complex functions and datasets. We all know that data can be more or less precise, can contain mistakes, errors, etc. And a tiny mistake or in our code or in our data can break everything and give misleading results. So I want to show you today we can catch those bugs interactively within RStudio. So working within VS Code or other IDE, but we will stay within RStudio for today. So we'll be working with a simple example. We want to be able to compute a relative risk based on two groups, the exposed and the unexposed. This is my function calculate RR, okay? Which takes four inputs, cases, number of cases among exposed, total number of exposed, number of cases among the unexposed, and total number of unexposed, okay? So within this function, we are calling the compute risk. Okay, we compute the first risk number one among the exposed. Okay, and risk number two among the unexposed. If we take a look at the compute risk function, sorry, it takes a number of cases and the total, makes the division between cases and total, and return the results. Okay, so it's quite simple. I can click on Control Enter to get the calculate RR, Control Enter to get the compute risk. And if I try this operation, okay, I get quite a weird result because I get infinite. Okay, I was expecting a numeric result, but I don't have um, what I want. Okay, so we are going to investigate within our code, try to understand what happened. Okay. We can try the first function to try to spot bugs, okay, which is debug once. Debug once will allow you to debug your function one time, okay? So within my R console, I can try debug once, and debug once expect the name of the function you want to debug, okay? So it will be debug once calculate RR, okay? So the next time I'm going to call this function, we will enter in a special mode, which is the debug mode, okay? Only the next time, okay? If I calculate RR several times after this one, we won't be in the debug one, okay? So I have run debug once calculate RR, and if I click on Control Enter, okay, we are in a quite weird mode. Our code is yellow, and we can see that we have some commands which have appeared here. It's next, another button is here, another button, but not easy here, sorry. Another button here, continue and stop. Okay. So what's going on here? I am within my calculate RR and I can click on several buttons. Next will execute the next step in the function. Okay. If I click one time on next, I know that this line number two, will be executed. Okay, can click on next. And I can see that risk one equals infinite. Okay, if I can click on cases exposed to see the value of this parameter within the code of the function. Okay, I have 20, total unexposed, I have 0. Okay, if I click on next one time, line number three will be run. Okay, you can see that risk 2 is 0.15. So it seems that we have a problem when we want to make a division by 0. Okay, for the computation of risk 1, I want to compute 20 divided by 0. Okay, so it doesn't work. Making a division by 0 is a bad operation. So, okay, I have spotted the problem in my code, and I can try to use the other buttons. I will show you this one just a bit after. I can click on continue. Continue will leave the interactive debugging and continue the regular execution of my function. If I click on continue, my code is run until the end, and the debugging mode is not active anymore. I can calculate RR once more. and my function doesn't enter into a debugging interactive mode because I use debugonce, which runs the interactive debugging mode only one time. Okay, let's try to use debugonce once more. Okay, debugonce calculate RR. Control Enter. Okay, click on next one time. Okay, so I'm on the line number 2, just before computing the risk among the exposed. Okay, I can use this button. This button will be very useful. It works like the next button, but if the next step is a function, this is the case here because we are calling compute risk, I will step into that function so I can explore it interactively. Okay, step into the current function call. Okay, so I have jumped into the core of compute risk, and I can see the value of the input. I can see that cases will be 20 in this case, that total will be 0, and I can try to run this one, clicking on next. Oh, yes, one more. Okay, I can see that results is infinity. Okay, so thanks to debugonce, I have been able to spot my bug. I was making a division by 0, so I have to deal with this edge case. If the total is 0, okay, I have to do something special. Okay, so it's okay. I can click on continue. Since I have clicked on continue for the nested function, I jump back to the parent function. Okay, so I am on this call. I can click on step into if I want to. Okay, so I'm computing risk, the risk number 2 among the unexposed. Let's click on cases, 15. Let's click on total, 100. Okay, can click on continue. What I can do, I can click on continue if I want my code to be run until the end, or if I'm happy with what I've been able to see, I can click on stop. Stop will leave the debugging mode. Okay. So we have saw debug once, which runs in an interactive debugging mode from the beginning of the function only one time. And there is another function, which is browser. Browser is a bit more intrusive. To use browser, I need to add some call browser within one of the function in which I want my code to stop. Okay. Oops, sorry. I have to run again the code of the function to take into account the fact that I've been added browser. Okay. And now if I click on calculate RR, my code is stopped at the point in which I have put a browser call. Okay. So debugonce can be a bit annoying because you have to run your code line by line from the beginning into a debugging interactive mode. But if you want to use browser, you can. If you know that your bug is coming from a specific line of your code or for a specific case, you can put a browser call within your code. And the next time you are calling your function, your call will stop specifically at the point you have in which you have put your browser. Okay, so it's basically the same thing. The main difference is that debugonce is a bit less intrusive than browser. Okay, let's get. Okay, I can click on stop, and if I want my function to have its regular behavior, I have to think about removing the browser and running again the compute risk function. Okay, so I know that I have a problem when my function is dividing by 0. I can take that into account in my compute risk function, okay? Something like this. If total equal 0, I can give a message to my user, for example, okay? Message, since total is equal to 0, we are returning NA, okay? Return NA. Okay, so let's try, oh, sorry. Let's try again. Okay, I have my message. Since total is equal to 0, we are returning NA. So I know I'm not able to compute a relative risk since for either the unexposed or the exposed population, I have a population size equal to 0. Okay. If I try to use different value here, okay, this time it's working. Okay. So thanks to these two native functions, browser and debugonce, we were able to debug our R code these functions were quite simple, so we would have been able to probably to spot the bug without using it. But when we are working with a slightly more complicated function or having a lot of nested function, these tools are really, really useful. I use them every day. I have to to tell it. So feel free to ask me if you want to have some help debugging your code within these two tools. Thank you for your attention. Have a good day. Bye.